Hello customers of DCUO. I am here today to enlighten those that are still blindfolded. Recently you may have seen trade chat or been on the forums and have come across talk of a glitch which resulted in a mass ban affecting every server. While I will not divulge the details of the glitch, seeing it has already been made public in a few places for those who wish to look hard enough, I will, however, show those of you the power that those of us who chose to exploit the glitch were granted. With that being shown, let me get straight to the purpose of this video. While I am sorry for those who were unable to participate in this exploit, I am here to clarify a few things that this glitch has shed light on, along with footage from another channel that explains our current situation. The purpose of this video is to discuss the drop rate chances of the different time capsules and their implications. Across the forums and Twitter over the last year, I'm sure many of you have been aware of fellow players who have thrown 100, 200, 300, and some even 400 or more stabilizers into time capsules in hopes of receiving a rare collection. Many believe that if they spend $50 to $100 or even $200 that they deserve to have earned the rares from their favorite capsule. I am here today to tell you that this is a blatantly false belief to have. I have personally opened on average 2,000 to 6,000 capsules per day for over a week, and I have discussed these drop rates with others that also did the exploit. Time capsules stack up to 999, and thus is the point at which many of us took a break and started to open what we had. This would have been the equivalent of a regular person spending $700 to $800. I have opened 999 Amazon time capsules at times and not gotten one flaming phoenix feather. I have friends on the villain side who opened 999 Cordian time capsules and 999 team up capsules and neither received a flash bio nor void essence. On average, we found the time capsules to average, keyword average, at less than 3 rares per 999 stack. And when I say rares, I am referring to flash bio, void essence, Atom Dozier, Phoenix Feather, Portrait of Isis, Wings of Sin, I think it's Planetary something for the last one that came out, the rarest, the top rare for each of the time capsules. Given room for RNG bias and throwing out clear outlier situations that we had every blue moon, on a consistent basis you were looking around the following drop chances. For the OG time capsules, you'll get 7 to 9 of each of the rares easily for each of them, the Crimson, the Amber, and the Citrine, I believe, is the third one. Amazon, you're only going to be looking at 1, maybe 2 Phoenix feathers. Every 1,000 that you open, you will not consistently get 2 Phoenix feathers. You will not consistently get 2 void essences. You will not continuously get 2 flash bios, nor the planetary distillation or whatever it is for the paradox time capsules. You will not get 2 rares within 1,000 openings on a consistent basis. It does not happen. Now the Time Torns were the highest, obviously, and people remember that one. People know that the Time Torns actually had a relatively good drop rate. But after the Time Torns, the Arcane and the Gotham and the Notorious were a little bit lower. You'll get those maybe every 300-ish or whatever. Between 300 to 400, you should be getting a rare collection in that area. For those aren't that bad, but obviously Time Torn is preferred, while 4 of them are just purely unacceptable. But the original drop rates were extremely low, as people remembered, with the Time Torn showing a significant increase in drop chance for our collections. After that time capsule, they seem to have repealed the drop chances closer to their original state. So if your original plan was to outright get the drop after spending $50 to $100, you can move on to plan B. As I speak now, my main account is banned and I have returned on another, but make no mistake, I do not need rest in peace tags thrown in my direction. I do not need the sympathy of players, for it is the common player base that is blind to this current system. Myself, as well as others, have supplied the community and made thousands back that we originally had put inside the game. And now the game has been disappointing us with no end in sight relatively. From opening so many time capsules, I have essentially retrained my brain's dopamine. And if you don't know what I mean, let me just play this short clip from Game Theory's YouTube channel. Props to them for making this video and making it public, trying to get the gaming base to be more educated about how these things work.
A device created by behavioral psychologist B.F. Skinner to study psychological conditioning. His box contained a button that, when pressed, caused a reward to pop out. Skinner's goal with the box was to prove that it was possible to condition animals, and eventually humans, to perform certain behaviors like pressing a button when you reward them. What he discovered, though, was a bit more interesting. His studies showed that if you provided a reward every time the button was pressed, test subjects just eventually got bored or felt like they'd gotten enough, and as a result, they stopped pressing the button.
And so that essentially shows what a exploiter would essentially have, while the remaining of the community would essentially fall under these clips from the video.
But if he only gave rewards to the test subject some of the times, either randomly or on a set timer, they kept coming back, pressing the button over and over again, sometimes indefinitely. It's not just open crate, get spray, feel happy. Dopamine isn't released when you receive a reward. It's released when you do something that your brain anticipates will result in getting a reward. The pressing of the button is what sets off the dopamine, not necessarily what you get when you press that button. And this has everything to do with how loot crates hack into your brain. With loot boxes, the rewards you get are randomized, which means that suddenly your brain has something to anticipate, and more importantly, a reason to release dopamine. Well, sure, you might be disappointed to get Hanzo saying for the 10th time. Your brain has already gotten its dopamine reward in the seconds that it spent opening the box. Many loot box systems actually further heighten this sense of anticipation with timers or long animations of the box's opening. Think of all the fireworks that go off every time you crack open a new pack of Hearthstone cards or a new Overwatch loot box.
We greet them, and there you go, guys. So this is gonna take a while because hold on. I will just keep spamming the X button, you know, till it drops on 0.
Another way casinos and loot boxes exploit weaknesses in your brains is by creating what's known as an illusion of control. In Vegas, many gamblers are more comfortable betting on games where they get to make the decisions themselves, such as blackjack, since that makes them feel like they've influenced the game with skill. But even if you make a mathematically optimal play on every hand in a game of blackjack, your odds of winning are still only 42%, while the house has a 49% chance of winning. If you play for enough time, you will always lose more than you win, but it feels more fair because of that illusion of control. If that idea doesn't sound familiar, well, it should, because it's the same psychological principle as loot boxes. Many Japanese gacha games let you pick between several different banners that contain different characters or items, or have increased odds of dropping certain ones. In Fire Emblem Heroes, for instance, you can even pick which color of unit you want from a random selection of 5. At the end of the day, your winnings are still doled out by a random number generator, but simply giving you a choice of which slot you want to spin is enough to make you feel more comfortable trading in your cashola for a shot at the prize. Now,
by opening thousands of capsules, I no longer have a dopamine rush when I open time capsules. I know to not expect anything because the drop rates are so low, and after opening over 20,000 capsules personally and talking to others who would have totaled for over 50,000, I know it's a statistical fact and not just my personal bad luck. There is no anticipation, and I know that being able to choose the loot has basically no effect on how often I receive these rares. Rares. What is, however, interesting is the fact that I remember getting 2 to 3 flash vials from opening 200 to 300 team-up capsules when they released, back before we had the loot picking option. I found it disturbing to have this experience and to know of others who had similar experiences back then, to now being able to open up 1,000 capsules without receiving a single one. The mathematical oddity of this would lead one to believe that the drop chances were changed for some of the capsules when the loot picker option was added. This would explain why the next capsule, Time Torn, has the best drop rate that is universally accepted, and every other time capsule has a lesser rate. The Time Torns seem to be the mistake in the group, and since then the drop rates have been lowered again to where now the Paradox capsules are having a similar drop rate to the main 3 of the Negative Speed Force, Phoenix, and the Void. And those were the rays that we complained about, and we're right back at them, even though we have the option of picking them now. With drop rates that are this bad, for the majority of the community, you're going to be forced to purchase these rares from the broker. However, due to the rarity of these collections, there is an eventual scarcity problem, which is the reason why at certain points you would only see 1, maybe 2 inside of the broker, if at all. You used to have to know somebody that stacked up on them in order to be able to buy one. They weren't just common every day. You go inside of the broker and see 3, 4 Phoenix materials, etc. inside of the broker. They eventually ran out, so to speak. But in addition to that, any failed attempts to achieve those rares is going to actually end up lowering the prices of the other collections, which is going to make them harder to trade for the rare ones. The more of the gray collections that are put inside of the broker from failed attempts to try to get the rare, they're going to end up undercutting, and then the prices are going to go down, and you're going to get less per collection than what you would have normally gotten. And then if you're getting less per collection of the grays while the rare one is still essentially like extremely high, it's gonna take you a lot longer in order to actually be able to get the rares for the trading potential of it. Now, the community has had thousands of time capsules that were either sitting inside of lead banks or personal banks that were finally able to be opened during this exploit. This basically brought more of these rare collections into circulation or acquisition, but I'm also sure that this exploit had a bonding tool in certain scenarios for friends as well as league mates. In addition to the growing competition that drove broker prices to under half of what they originally were, myself as well as others shared our wealth with those around us, either doing giveaways in trade chat, helping league mates complete feats or get the styles they were unable to get for months, or resetting those in need so they could run content and get the vendor gear that they so desired. For those that followed trade chat, Matt Super used to be one of the few people that had resets on the hero side, and he was selling at 3-4 mil, whatever he ends up charging. Resets got down to 1 to 1.5 mil for raid resets, which allowed a lot of people to buy resets that normally wouldn't have been able to afford as many. So that was a really, really good thing. And while there were those of us that were greedy, and I won't exclude myself in that I was greedy in an aspect, and still greedy in an aspect, and we did this exploit for personal gain, there were others, along with myself at points, who saw this as an opportunity to help themselves as well as others, since every player has been affected by these decisions regarding time capsules. We have long complained about time capsules and their implementation, and yet we are still in this situation. And because of that, I have no shame in what I do. I began playing DC as a fun and challenging MMO, not to play dress up every 2 months. I'd rather pay an additional $15 a month on top of regular legendary to be able to play balanced PvP if they offered so. I'd rather do that than to put $15 to $50 a month in stabilizers to get trash due to the rates that I have shown in this video. Daybreak.
You did not know the way.
Alright, back up. Listen. Hey. Stop spitting on me. Hey. Wow. Stop spitting. Stop spitting.
You must take the skill of the devil. You have the Ebola.